This is a very brief presentation explaining how the orientation of staff and students will proceed during graduation. On the left-hand side, we have 14 rows, each with 18 chairs, one for the teacher and 17 for students. On the right, 14 rows, one with a teacher chair and 17 seats for students. Represented at the bottom here in yellow smiley faces are the staff members who will be leading the lines, and the green smiley faces representing the lines of students behind those staff members. Upon the start of the procession, the staff members who are leading the first two rows will find their way with their students behind them to the front of the auditorium. Once they reach the front, the teacher on the left will lead the students on the left-hand side down the row, with the teacher being on the outermost chair of that row and the students standing in the seats respectively behind them. At the same time, on the right-hand side, the teacher on the right will lead their students down. The teacher will stand in front of the last chair on the row, and the students will follow suit to stand in front of their seats on that row. All students will remain standing at this time. Once all students have arrived in the auditorium and all rows are filled with staff and students and everyone is standing, it will be directed by the stage administration for everyone to please have a seat. And at that point, everyone will sit. When we reach the time in the presentation that students will need to get their diplomas, the following will occur. As the students are called to the line to get their diploma, the teacher will simply step out of the way of the aisle, and the students will make their way up to get in line, awaiting time to go up on the stage. As the students vacate the row, the teacher of that row will then find their way all the way down to the inside-most chair of that row and will now take over the first chair on the inside of that row. As students in their row walk across the stage, they will receive their diploma, shake hands, have their photo taken here, come down, have their photo taken here, and will return back in the same order as the first person who was behind the teacher will still be the first person behind the teacher. As the second student's name is called, they will come across, get their diploma, have a photo taken, come down, have a photo taken, will come across, and they are still the second person in that class. That will happen continuously until all students are in that row. All students of the first row should remain standing until all students of that row have returned with their diplomas, at which time everyone in that row will have a seat simultaneously. This will continue. So as the second row is time for them to go get their diplomas, the teacher will vacate the row, the students will go up and get in line. So students will go up and get in line to receive their diplomas. As the students walk across the stage with their diplomas, while that is happening, because now the row is vacated, the staff member will find their way to the inside. The students go across, have their diploma, get a picture taken, come down, have a picture taken, will be directed to the outside, where they will go to the outside, come back down to the second row, come back in, and the student who was sitting behind the teacher to begin with will again return to be sitting next to the teacher. The second student from the teacher will come across, have a picture taken, receive their diploma, have their picture taken, be directed to the outside, will come down, and will go across the row, and now will be seated second from the teacher once again. So this will continue until all of the following on that side have occurred. Once all of the rows on the left-hand side have gone, you will see that now all of the teachers from the left side of the auditorium are sitting on the chairs that are adjacent to the center row, and their students will be going down the row towards the outside. Once the left side has gone, it will then be time for the right side to go, and that will go as follows. The right side will then have their opportunity to be called for their diplomas. The teachers on the right, once the left side is gone, will do exactly what the left-hand side did. So the teacher on the right in the first row will vacate the row, allowing room for the students to come out and get in line and wait to be called across the stage for their diploma. Once their entire row has vacated, the teacher will find their way down in front of the innermost chair of their row. As the students come across the stage, they'll receive their diploma, they'll have a photo taken, come down, have a photo taken, they'll go back to the outside and come stand next to the teacher. The second student will do the same, get the diploma, picture taken, come to the bottom, picture taken, come back to the outside, stand next to the teacher. All students in the first row will remain standing until all of the students have returned to the first row with their diplomas, at which time all students in the first row will then sit simultaneously. As the second row is called, the second row teacher will vacate. This will make their way up to the stage, waiting to receive their diploma. As the line vacates, as the row vacates, the staff member for row 2 will find their way down in front of the chair on the innermost part of the row, adjacent to the center row. As the students from row 2 go across, receive their diplomas, come down, have a picture taken, they will be directed to the outside. They will come back down into the second row, and stay standing in front of their chair. Students will continue to do this, picture taken, come to the outside, come down to their row, return to their row, stand in front of their chair, and they will continue to do this until the row is filled. When all diplomas and all rows have been given out, the auditorium should be set as such, with all lead teachers of rows on the inside chair adjacent to the main aisle, and all students in that row subsequently in the chairs in that row, as shown in the image. So it should look like as seen on the screen, where all lead teachers are on the seats adjacent to the inner row, and all students are inside of the row towards the outside of the row, waiting for dismissal. Once it's time for dismissal, the teachers in the first row will come out into the middle aisle after everyone from the stage has dismissed. So they will be following out the last person from the stage, and those staff members will again rejoin next to one another, and the students from their rows will fall into order next to each other as they process out as follows. As they process out and everyone from the first and second row vacates, the teacher from the second row will fall in behind the first row as such, and the students from the second row will then fall out in order behind the teacher from the second row, and that will continue until everyone has vacated the auditorium.